it's really hard for a business to grow when you're just operating with a team of contractors. I do think that as you're starting to feel completely overwhelmed with the workload, and it may be the generic workload. It's not like you need to bring someone in to work on a marketing project that's like super specific. That's when you need to start thinking about hiring an actual W-2 payroll employee.
Hey, welcome back to the Amanda Kaufman Show. And we're going to have a great conversation today. I'm joined today by Kirsten Zeigler, who is a genius at HR, and she has a passion for helping the little guy, the small business owner. And I'm super excited to interview her / pick her brain in front of you so that you will hopefully get some really, really juicy, awesome insights around your talent. Because guess what, boo? If you're building a business all on your own and you have zero plan, zero roadmap for enrolling anybody to support you, you just built yourself a job. And so I think it's really important to dig into all this. Kirsten, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh my gosh. And listener, I'm going to just be super honest. Kirsten had me at her wallpaper. We were in a business incubator together, and I'm like, it's cool what you do, but I really like your wallpaper. And so like that's pretty much what hit it off. But it wasn't very long before I realized I'm like, oh man, I'm speaking to a bona fide genius in HR. I'm super excited to have you here. Kirsten, if somebody was to just like zoom away and you only got one thing you wanted them to know about great HR and their business owner, what's that one thing?
Man, I would say treat people like people. It sounds so easy,
That's crazy talk. What do you mean by that?
right? Right? People aren't just numbers, right? They're actual human beings. So just because you're hiring them to do a job, they're also full-fledged human beings that come with their own life experience and ideas and personality. And so, that's like the bare bones of it. And obviously, like, you could peel that back like an onion to get to all the layers, but that's like bare bones. Treat people like people.
Treat people like people. Easier said than done, I think.
Totally.
A lot of business owners, I mean, they're cut from a different cloth. Like they think very differently. They have probably started their business, being completely honest, because they're a little bit of a black sheep in some way. So now they're enrolling people. So what are a couple of things that a very busy, high-stress business owner can do to treat people like people? How could they really operationalize that?
So it's interesting because a lot of the times people, yes, like you're a business owner, you probably are a black sheep, but also you have a passion for something specific, right? So you created your business because you see like a gap in the market or you're super passionate about one thing, but that doesn't mean you've ever been a people leader before or a manager. You may not even be interested in that, but all of a sudden when you start to hire a team, that becomes a big part of your job. And so I'm all about being proactive rather than reactive. A lot of HR is unfortunately reactive. So I like to work with clients on, hey, how could we avoid bad situations from happening? And some of the ways to do that, and again, like these are all things that sound so simple, but in like the day-to-day reality, it gets complicated. So clear communication and expectations, number one. So like before you're even hiring someone, sitting down and really figuring out what that person should be doing, what that job description should look like, and then using that throughout the person's employment as the basis for their role. Most people see job descriptions when they apply to a position. Use it during the onboarding process too, because those are the expectations. And then it becomes super clear so there's no confusion for either side, right? Also, like, it's hard when you're a business owner to delegate. Like, we all know that. We want our hands in a bit of everything, right? So making sure you're able to delegate, that you're trusting your team, that you're allowing people some leverage, and some ability to be creative and bring their own thoughts and opinions, but communicating what you expect as that end goal. And all of these things are ways that you can solve the frustration of a back and forth, right? And it saves so much time. It saves so much stress on both people's parts, because I see when leaders don't communicate well, don't delegate well, don't put process in place, don't have check-ins with their team, it becomes more about assumption. And that causes anxiety. That causes you to kind of like spiral a little, right? And you're assuming this person isn't doing anything, or you're assuming they don't know how to do it instead of just getting ahead of it and having that conversation. So again,
That's
easier
so
said
good.
than done all the time. I know it takes some courage sometimes, right? And, a little bit of a knowledge on like how to talk to people and how to talk to even like specific team members and how your style of communication is. But I really do think just getting ahead of things is the best way to do it.
Absolutely. And, you're reminding me of a couple of conversations that I had just in the past week with business owners who were just totally running as hard as they can, and they believe, and they're probably right, that having talent is going to be that thing that unlocks the next level of their growth of their business. And the thing that I kept hearing was, I hired my executive assistant, and then they had all these different roles that this person was playing. So, like, this is what I was hearing as an operator. I'm like, wait a second. So you've got somebody who's in charge of your calendar, in charge of your social media strategy, in charge of fulfilling for your clients, in charge of all of that. Like, that's not an executive assistant anymore.
Yeah.
So from where I'm sitting, I'm like, it seems like a lot of entrepreneurs are hesitant to have like talent people that they have to pay and all of that. And there's also probably a bit of confusion about when's the right time to have an employee versus a contractor. Do you mind speaking to that a little bit? Maybe shedding a little bit of a light to point a business owner in the right direction there?
Absolutely. So this is something I talk about with businesses all of the time. The contractor versus employee conundrum, as I like to call it. So contractors, it's easy, right? When you're first getting started, you just need some help on some specific projects. It's a defined scope of work. It's a specific thing. So you're bringing in people to help you out who are contractors. I would say there are pros and cons to having contractors and employees. It's time to start thinking about hiring employees when your business needs to grow, right? Like, it's helpful to have contractors when you're kind of maintaining and building. But when your business starts to need to grow, you really need people there that you can mold, that you can rely on. Contractors are meant to be independent. That is like the whole gist of it. And there are a bunch of like tests between the IRS and the Department of Labor. If you want to get like super compliance driven, there are tests that determine whether someone's a contractor or an employee. And those specifics of those tests, they change every few years. It depends on like what administration is in place. But generally, the general gist of it is all the same. It's all about control, behavioral control, financial control, time control, the work, all control based. So in order to build a business and start growing your business, you need to be able to control somebody's work hours. You need to be able to control, whether they're using a company email or not. Like, what softwares they're using, how they're speaking to your customers, like really also being able to set the tone for the work that they're doing. You can't do that with contractors. Contractors are there to do what they are skilled in doing. And usually that's for a short period of time. Or you have a contract that you re-up or renegotiate based on the scope of work. So I do think that it's really hard for a business to grow when you're just operating with a team of contractors. I do think that as you're starting to feel completely overwhelmed with the workload, and it may be the generic workload. It's not like you need to bring someone in to work on a marketing project that's like super specific. That's when you need to start thinking about hiring an actual W-2 payroll employee. My favorite thing for people to do is just start a list. Like, open a doc, have a notes app open, something where as you're going through your day-to-day, you just start jotting things down that you're doing, that you wish somebody was doing, that you need to be done. And you'll have a whole list of responsibilities after a while. Don't force yourself to sit down and do it in one sitting because you'll never remember everything you do, right? And then from there, start to categorize it. I like to categorize into like operations or like admin. And then you can kind of see what type of role you need. That example you gave about an EA doing a million different things, you're going to end up in a compromising situation with that. You can't expect one person to be good at absolutely everything. And so you're already setting someone up for failure by expecting them to be a pro at all of those different things. It's really helpful, I think. Admin, yeah, an EA does like go pick up stuff or, like set meetings or run the calendar, but that's still within a category of the type of work they do.
Yeah, it's administrative, it's executive functioning, right? And
Yeah,
it's helping you as the executive to execute, right? So it's like an EA really is a more limited position. And I think I just see a lot of entrepreneurs, they don't want to pay the big bucks of having employee in place. So they find funny ways of describing what the work is, but then that really brings a bit of an opportunity for talent to take advantage of the business owner down the road if they discover like, oh wait, I actually have rights and I don't like this situation. And especially if there's a conflict or something, like that compliance stuff can feel like a pain in the butt, but boy, it hurts a lot worse if it bites you.
totally. I've seen people get in trouble before with that stuff with like they just don't know, right? And so, and like maybe they have a great relationship with this employee and the employee may not have any ill will towards them. They may just be raising a hand to be like, I had a client where they had a EEOC case opened on them because somebody flagged that they weren't getting sick pay and they were in New York City where it's mandatory. And the business owner just didn't know. If the employee had asked them, they would have said, oh no, I'm so sorry. Let's backtrack. Let's see how much you would have accrued. You can use it. But, they flagged it and they paid so much money in legal fees trying to fight this. So, it's unfortunate because there isn't like a one-stop shop to finding all of this information that's accurate and up to date. Like even doing a Google search, it's hard to find the most up-to-date compliance stuff.
Absolutely. I mean, y'all, you're listening to a podcast, right? So that's not the same as consulting an actual pro. But it is useful. It is useful to just like say, hey, here's the questions I should definitely be asking. And employment is a big commitment on both sides, right? Of the business and of the employee. You're talking about somebody giving their life force to your mission, like it's a big deal. So like, what would your suggestion be to someone who is kind of thinking like they're ready to scale? Maybe they're nervous about having an employee because there's like tax implications. There's, like you said, the sick leave, the having an
Mhm.
employee handbook, like all these nitty gritty things that kind of add to it. And I want to just add one little thing. Entrepreneur, one of the reasons you're looking for somebody who is good at everything is because you think you are and you're not. Right. One of the big things that an employee can absolutely do for you is be specialized in an area you have not had time to dedicate yourself towards. So anyway, take it away, Kirsten. Like how can somebody like get really good information about this?
Yeah. So, first of all, ask questions, speak to an HR consultant or, even other business owners, right, that are in your place to see what that breaking point was for them. I work with so many business owners who are hiring employees for the first time. And so really like this is in my wheelhouse. They're usually scared about being responsible for somebody's pay. Right. With contractors, you have a little more flexibility to end the engagement or, not re-sign the contract. With an employee, where most states are at will. So yes, you can let someone go at any time, but there's a lot of things that they can come back with, right, to try to challenge that. And so it is a little bit more of a process, but you can't do everything yourself, right? And so even if this person you're looking to hire is not a sales position, because sales is usually not the first role you hire, they're still going to be freeing up your time. So even though they're not directly tied to revenue, They are, in a way, because you'll have more time not doing the stuff that you shouldn't be doing. That's below your paid grade. Now you can focus on those bigger picture CEO, strategic thinking, maybe bigger clients, right? Like, you'll be able to bring in more money having that support there to take care of those like lower level tasks. So that number one, that is, you have to reframe it, right? Like, if you're going to be nervous, that's okay. I can promise you every single person is nervous, but it's also a really exciting milestone in your business. And after hiring the first person, you're going to see, okay, I can do this. And then you'll hire the second person with so much more ease. And there are so many good payroll and HRIS systems out there. When I work with clients, I generally like to recommend which one's best for them. But that takes over a lot of the compliance piece when you're paying people. And it makes sure that the taxes are being properly taken out. So there are definitely tools and resources you can use that have your back through this process.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Kirsten, if people wanted to get to know you better, what's the best way to do that?
So follow me on Instagram, KDZ _ HR Consulting, or find me on LinkedIn, Kirsten Zeigler. If you DM me, Amanda, I will send you a free job description template. It comes with some AI prompts so that you could really make it specific to your business, the role. But that is honestly the best place to start when you're thinking about expanding your team.
Super excited about that. I think I may just slide into your DMs and snag that.
Please do.
Kirsten, thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate this conversation.
Thank you so much for having me. It was so much fun talking to you, and I can talk HR all day. So
I love it.
I enjoyed myself.
It's amazing. You can really tell when somebody knows their craft when they get like really excited about it. Awesome. So, hey, dear listener, if you've got a friend or two or three who has considered hiring, is hiring, maybe has some regrets about hiring, make sure that you share this episode with them. I have a sneaking suspicion Kirsten may be back because we haven't had too many experts talk about this, but it's such an important part of business and growing your talent. And oh yeah, don't forget to subscribe. If you haven't subscribed, like, please just smash the button so you don't miss another episode. And by the way, if you have been loving the Amanda Kaufman show, one of the ways you can share the love is through a 30-second review. It helps new listeners decide whether they want to spend time with us. And of course, we really appreciate when you do. All right, my friend, we'll be back with another episode very, very soon. But until then, do what matters.